An incredible night of March Madness was rewarded by the highest ratings that CBS has seen in years. And I know this goes without saying with this audience, but for those that are watching for the first time, when we talk about March Madness on this channel, we are talking about the real March Madness. We're not talking about the women's tournament, which the mainstream media continues to disguise as March Madness. The women's tournament, I thought it was absolutely god-awful. And through the first two rounds, the NCAA was taking heat for the real March Madness. But it was all worth it. It was all worth it for what we witnessed Saturday night. Over the last few years, there's been this narrative that the popularity of basketball is declining because the NBA is declining. The networks, they can't figure out how to monetize the WNBA dump. For 30 years, they have been trying to monetize this turd, and they can't seem to figure it out. TNT thought they had inside information. TNT thought they figured out the Pythagorean theorem with Unrivaled. Of course, that secondary dump, it was a money loser too. The vast majority of programs in women's college basketball, they are bleeding money. Angel Reese, the self-proclaimed Bayou Barbie, the self-proclaimed superstar. When she won the national title at LSU, the program still lost millions of dollars. For the better part of a decade, ratings for men's college basketball have declined. I remember a couple of months ago, mainly after the USA-Canada matchup in the NHL, there were some diehard NHL fans claiming, hockey has surpassed the NBA in popularity! When the reality is, the NHL hasn't surpassed the WNBA in popularity. But all kidding aside, basketball has not declined in popularity. It was the basketball being presented that caused the decline. The over-reliance in the NBA on three-point shooting, LeBron James pushing mythical racism, the NBA passionately embracing the woke wiener, Adam Silver driving the rainbow float in the gay pride parade. One thing we have learned in the last 12 or so months, if you promote the right stars and the game is played the right way, there is a strong market for basketball, even women's basketball to a certain extent. The two games in the Final Four Saturday night, those were two of the best basketball games that I have seen all season, both college and in the NBA. And viewers, they rewarded CBS and the NCAA with the best ratings in nearly a decade. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Let's go ahead and get to the sponsor for today's video, my good friends at Sugar Mountain Trading. Are you struggling with back problems? Do you deal with minor aches and pains throughout your day and you don't want to go to the doctor because all the doctor's going to do is find something else wrong with you? Or even worse, prescribe addictive medication that you just don't want to take? Me personally, I hate going to the doctor. So does my wife, who actually deals with back pain, which is why she started using CBD lotions and oils from Sugar Mountain Trading. Now, this is not THC. It's not going to make you fail a drug test. These CBD lotions and oils, they are designed specifically for rapid pain relief. My wife deals with nagging back pain from time to time. We tried over-the-counter stuff, tried the chiropractor. None of it ever seemed to work. Within 5 minutes of me applying CBD lotion from Sugar Mountain Trading, her pain was gone. I'm telling you, it's damn near magical. Sugar Mountain Trading also offers CBD bar soap that will keep you pain-free and smelling fresh at the same time. Bar soap comes in a variety of scents ranging from lavender to cherry almond. All CBD products offered at Sugar Mountain Trading, 100% natural, 100% free of THC. So click the link in the description below. Use my promo code BTL20, BTL20. Save 20% off your first purchase with Sugar Mountain Trading. Late Saturday afternoon, Florida, Auburn, 14.6 million viewers, up 27% compared to last year. Duke, Houston in prime time, 16 million viewers, up 13%, with both games averaging over 15 million viewers. It was the most watched Final Four since 2017, and that number, it also beats every game in the NBA since 2019. Just think about that for a second. The most watched basketball games in the last 6 years, they didn't involve the stars in the NBA. The most watched games, they involve 4 teams with one mainstream star between them, Cooper Flagg. Through the early rounds of the tournament, the NCAA was taking shit over NIL ruining college basketball. But like I keep saying, if what we were given in the Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final 4, if that is the end result, I'll take it. I know this might sound outlandish, but we could be nearing a point where the tournament shrinks instead of expands. With NIL eliminating the chance for smaller programs to be competitive, we could be reaching a point where the first 2 rounds of the tournament are completely useless. I know the Cinderella stories are nice. I know it's exciting in the moment when a 15 seed upsets a 2 seed in the first round, but once you get into the later rounds, once you get to the Sweet 16, casual viewers, we want to see the best teams competing against each other. And casual viewers make up, I would estimate, around 90% of the audience for March Madness. Going into the national championship game tonight, tournament is averaging almost 10 million viewers a game. The last 5 series in the NBA Finals averaged 10.5 million. But I want you to keep that number in mind for what I'm about to share with you. Last night, hell, all weekend, Dawn Staley has been heavily criticized on social media. First, she was criticized for complaining about her Lady Cox from South Carolina being overlooked in the mainstream. No one pays attention to my anonymous players because they're too busy focusing on Paige Buckner and Caitlin Clark. You know, I thought it was ironic that Dawn Staley did not mention the attention that Juju Watkins receives. I thought it was ironic that she only mentioned the 2 white girls, but I'm sure that was just a coincidence. I also thought it was ironic that Dawn Staley failed to mention the real reason that her Lady Cox are overlooked. People aren't paying attention to South Carolina because 50 weeks out of the year, people aren't paying attention to women's basketball. Last night, Dawn Staley was criticized for her reactions during the ass whooping her Lady Cox received from UConn. Check it out for yourself. Did she just say the F word? Donnie is being naughty. Also, why is she punching herself in the face? Doesn't Dawn Staley know that violence is never the answer? Believe it or not, this temper tantrum, it was actually trending for a bit on Twitter yesterday. Me personally, I didn't think it was a big deal. If my team was getting its ass kicked, if my team was being humiliated during the one time of the year women's basketball is actually being watched, I would be screaming obscenities too. But the emotional tirade from Dawn Staley, that was not the only thing that caught my attention. During the weekend, both Dawn Staley and Gino Auriemma, they were complaining about the money that the networks are paying for the women's tournament. Just like the dump divers in the WNBA, Donnie and Gino, they are using this temporary spike in ratings to justify the women's tournament receiving more money. Last year, ESPN agreed to an 8-year extension with the NCAA that's worth $920 million. The package includes every championship event outside of the real March Madness and the college football playoff. Now, those 2 entities, they are negotiated separately by the NCAA for obvious reasons. But according to Dawn Staley, the women's tournament, it should be negotiated separately as well. We are exploding in popularity. It is downright sinful that our women are not being valued by the evil network that claims to be the proud home of women's sports. It is rather ironic that ESPN claims to be the proud home of women's sports, but when it comes to negotiating contracts, when it comes to money, ESPN suddenly forgets all about that wasteful virtue signaling. ESPN values the women's tournament at $65 million a year. The men's tournament averages about $1 billion a year. But the men, like I said, averaging 10 million viewers. The women going into the Final Four, averaging 920,000. According to Front Office Sports, the real value of the women's tournament is between 81 and 112 million a year. This is misogyny. Our women are being sacrificed for the almighty peso. No, this is not misogyny. This is business. You see, when ESPN negotiated this contract, they were negotiating for the next 8 years. They were not basing the overall value of the women's tournament on what happened with Caitlin Clark. I don't know if you know this, but Caitlin Clark ain't returning to Iowa. They can't rely on Caitlin Clark to deliver 12 million viewers every March. They also can't rely on Paige Beckers to deliver 3 or 4 million. While the deal may seem like a steal for ESPN now, more than likely, that will not be the case in the future. We have decades of data that proves women's college basketball is not a mainstream draw. Could that trend be changing? Sure. It is entirely possible that the ladies maintain this momentum and they deliver strong ratings every March. But it's also entirely possible and even likely that they don't. Think about it. God forbid Juju Watkins is unable to return next season. For those that don't know, Juju Watkins tore her ACL in the second round of the tournament. Although we have come a long way with ACL injuries, the most common timeline for return in basketball is 9 to 12 months. If she is on the latter timeline of that return, who is going to be the draw next year in the women's tournament? You tell me, who is the draw next year? Is Dawn Staley right? Is the women's tournament being undervalued? Also, give me your thoughts on the ratings for March Madness. Some are predicting that the Final Four will outdraw the national championship tonight, mainly because Duke's already been eliminated. Do you think that will be the case? Let me know. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.